My biggest surprise was the Las Vegas Raiders beating the Ravens 33-27 in overtime.
Yep.
And I think this was the game of the week. You know, the entire week one, I thought this was the best game of the week outside of Cleveland versus Kansas City.
Even over
this was
Dallas
right there.
and
I was going to
Tampa?
say, Bucks and Tampa
game
was
was
a
fire.
movie.
Dallas Tampa was a great game too. There was just something about this game and
Because of the underdog
the ups and
mentality.
downs, the roller coaster. I mean, I think the chances of the Raiders winning fluctuated so much. Derek Carr throwing that red zone interception in overtime, then Lamar fumbling.
FanDuel was on fire that
Yeah,
day, bro.
definitely.
There was so much that went on in that game. I think it was the best game of week one. I was in Las Vegas a couple weeks ago, and when I was in Vegas, I felt the passion for the Raiders when I was there.
Nice.
I felt the passion, and these fans deserve a winning football team. You know, whether it's in Oakland or Las Vegas, the Raiders for the past 16 seasons have not been good. Their best season was in 2016 with Derek Carr. He was on
sad.
an MVP trajectory, but sadly he got injured, and then they had to have Connor Cook play, I believe, in the playoff game. And that was the year I thought the Raiders could have really did some damage. John Gruden, since he's been in Las Vegas, they have never finished the season strong, but in 2019 and 2020, they have started 6-4. In 2019, I picked them to make the playoffs. Then they fumbled down the stretch. 2020, I was smarter. I said, nope, I've seen this before. I'm going to ease down. I don't think they're going to make it. But this year feels kind of different, and I think every single team in the AFC West is really good. The Chargers, the Chiefs, the Broncos with Teddy. Von Miller was seen pep talking Teddy and saying, I haven't seen something like that since 18 was here. You know, he gave Teddy high praise. And then you have the Raiders with Darren Waller, I think, being the second best tight end in football, if not the third. You know, you got Henry Ruggs, who can take the top off the defense. And Brian Edwards, who I was very high on Brian Edwards coming into the season, even last year as a rookie. I'm glad he broke out in the fourth in overtime. And it was on the final drives of the game.
Both of them, yeah.
I think the Raiders have something good going. Their offensive line didn't look as bad as advertised. You know, Alex Leatherwood held up pretty good. And I think their defense looks much better. And if their defense can be that good for the entire season, I think they have something, because I was surprised by this, but Clelin Ferrell didn't suit up, and he was active. He was healthy and active, which means that he could have went, but they decided to not let him go. 4th overall pick in the draft. I'm not sure why, but Yannick Ngakoue, getting him and him having 6 pressures, then Max Crosby having 13 pressures and winning on Villanueva the entire day. I mean, Villanueva is washed at this point. Last year in Pittsburgh, he was bad, and Nassib having the game-winning fumble, strip sack, basically. I mean, the Raiders were phenomenal down the stretch, and I think the reason why this was the best game of the week for me is because we got the Peyton Manning and Eli Manning broadcast, and I think that's what made it phenomenal. If you were watching Monday Night Football and weren't watching that broadcast, I don't know what you were doing. That was the broadcast to watch, having Ray Lewis, Kelsey, Russell Wilson, Charles Barkley, and them just explaining football, and, you know, it felt like a natural environment. And I was actually having this thought that maybe broadcasting is probably going to go in that direction in the future, you know, because when you hear broadcasters, they do an amazing job, no disrespect to them. But I think nowadays people much rather just learn about the game. Yeah, get real explanations, because these analysts and color commentators and play-by-play analysts, you know, they explain things, but they aren't that very good at explaining things. They, you know, if you listen to them talk about it, you're probably not going to get the right information, you know. A main example is Booger. You know?
Yeah.
But
just to backpack off that, though, I was actually just mentioning to you about I'm more of an offensive type guy. Fantasy football has made me cater more to the offense as opposed to the defense. I know defenses as a whole, not schemes, not individuals. Listening to Peyton, listening to Eli, listening to Russell, as the second the play starts to develop, they see the defense, they're immediately able. Cover 0, cover 2, they're in a zone. And it was just it was crazy to me as someone who really struggles with identifying defenses, because defenses do such a great job of hiding coverages. It was great for me to hear two of the greatest in Peyton and Russ, and Eli, obviously a future Hall of Famer. Just the three of them together, that tandem, explaining it to me someone who actually does know the game but can know it a little bit better, you can, just from listening to them talk for 20, 30 minutes, you learn so much that you thought that you knew, that they just enhanced that times 30. It was special to see, and I hope that they continue to do that. It was great to see them play by play explain how this happened, why it happened, and how they could have avoided certain situations.
And I have 2 questions for you guys. One about the Raiders and one about that broadcast.
Okay.
The first one, I'm going to talk about the Peyton Manning and Eli Manning broadcast. They put it on ESPN2 for that Monday Night Football in week 1, but I believe it's going to be ESPN Plus exclusive, which means that you got to buy the subscription to pay. Is that something that you would pay for a Monday Night Football broadcast?
I already have ESPN Plus.
I was going to say, and you're also asking the wrong guy. Peyton Manning is my guy. I will 100% just to pick his brain a little bit more and understand why he approached the game the way he did, or how he took that approach to the game. I'll definitely pay the money.
I already have it because I like to watch college games, and the games that don't get on TV go on ESPN Plus. So it could be like the mid majors. I like to watch those games, so I have it regardless.
Second question: will the Raiders make the playoffs this year? Riv, your first overreaction to week 1 was that they will. And Raiders fans were very critical of our video when we talked about their team and our record predictions for them. And you were the one that said
I was the main guy.
They would win 0 games within their division.
I almost spit up my water.
Which means they can't beat the Chargers or the Broncos or the Chiefs once. But now you think they're going to make the playoffs, so explain that.
Well, damn, you got
It's all right, bro. Just stay strong.
Nah, you put me on the spot.
You did.
No, listen, I was very critical of their team. I just ain't see in the offseason, I didn't see them make any major moves for me to really solidify. But, you watched them play against a really tough team in Baltimore, a team that we all thought were going to make the playoffs, a team that's been competitive. Yeah, a team that's been very competitive over the last 2-3 seasons. They have a top 8 quarterback in Lamar Jackson, a very, very, very stout defense. So I just think, right now, you're looking at the team, they beat Baltimore. Why can't they beat, Denver? Why can't they beat the Chargers? I don't know about the Chiefs. They beat them last year, but I don't know about the Chiefs. The Chiefs are really a different beast. But Derek Carr looks rejuvenated. He looks better. It's still one game, but Derek Carr looks rejuvenated. He looks better. Henry Ruggs, that receiving core, but it's young, but it looked a lot better than it has been looking. Henry Ruggs, he didn't play beautiful, but you see the improvement. Like you said, Brian Evans, that defense was good. It played to an improvement. It looked better than what the paper, on paper they looked bad, but it looked much better than what the paper is saying.
And I think Gus Bradley defensively did an amazing job. I think the cover 3 scheme is outdated, but obviously he knows how to call the game. And going back and looking at his statistics with the Chargers, they gave up points, but they didn't give up much yardage, which means that the big plays are what really hurt them in terms of, scoring those points. But Gus Bradley is respected, and I do think he's going to turn this defense around and at least make them better than what they've been in years past. So I want your unbiased take, Drew, because you're a Broncos fan.
Yeah, I am.
Even though Raiders fans thought that we were all donkey fans, but no, I'm not a Broncos fan. He's not a Broncos fan. You are a Broncos fan. I am. All bias aside, you have to pick the Raiders versus the Broncos. Let's just say hypothetically, Week 17 game. This game is to make it into the playoffs. All bias aside, who do you think would win that game?
I think the Broncos definitely pull it out. It's a matter of fact that our defense is better than theirs. Our offense looked damn good against the Giants, given the fact the Giants' defense is good. It's a solid defense.
It is good.
And we lit them up. Teddy Bridgewater had an amazing game. He had this one play where he, on 4th and 1, fakes a play action, stiff arms a dude, throws a touchdown. I was freaking out. I was in the stands. Giants fans hated me. They wanted me out of there.
Oh, you were at the game?
I was. It was awesome.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was lit. Mad lit. And going to the Raiders now. Their defense, the adjustments they made coming out of half was very impressive because Lamar could do whatever he wanted in that first half. He was scrambling out of the pocket. He was making throws on the run. He was obviously doing what he does with his legs, making defenders look silly. But that didn't shake the Raiders at all that second half. They came in. They had a game plan. They followed it. They made Lamar uncomfortable. We saw Lamar miss some easy throws also to not give the Raiders over too much credit. Lamar missed some easy throws, and that also benefited them. Lamar seemed rattled in that second half. But overall, I'm taking the Broncos. I feel as if we're the more complete team. They might have the better weapon in Darren Waller for sure, because Darren Waller is a special type player. We'll have Judy back by then. Cortland Sutton is going to be
Waller's.
He
on
is
a different
no.
level
Oh no,
than anybody on the offense.
I'm not disagreeing with that sentiment. That being said, Jerry Jeudy had an impact on that Giants game before he went out. He had 70-something yards, and then had what looked like his ankle was backwards. I was sitting in that stands freaking out, but thankfully he's okay. He's only going to miss like 4 weeks. But now KJ had a bad drop, but he was playing a solid game up until that drop, because all people remember from KJ is that drop. But we have good weapons. Cortland Sutton, obviously. Fant had a solid game. Teddy already showed that Fant, he can trust in him here.
I love that you're going off about the game, but you're picking the Broncos to beat the Raiders.
No, I'm just saying, overall, I just think, because the defense is obvious.
Yeah, I have a way better defense.
And for sure, it's just going to come down to if our offense can keep up. And from what I saw against the Giants, a solid defense in the league, we could do that with any team.
I'm not sure if I'm ready to overreact like you did and say they're going to make the playoffs, but I definitely do think they have a shot, and I'm rooting for them to make it because Derek Carr is one of my favorite quarterbacks in the entire NFL. The Raiders have had bottom 20 defenses every single year of Carr's career, and he's still been able to manage, which is why if this year they can just be top 15, not even like just not be 20 and below, they can be a really good team, and Derek Carr can lead them to the playoffs. That's how good he is.
Do you believe they could do that?
I do. With Gus Bradley in their scheme, and it depends on the development of their younger corners like Damon Arnett and Trayvon Mullen. I do think that Casey Hayward was a pretty good pickup.
Yep.
He was in Gus Bradley's scheme with the Chargers, so he's familiar with the scheme and he can teach it to the young guys. So I think it can happen, but it has to be a collective effort. If their pass rush is as good week to week, not even as good because, they were next level good.
Definitely.
If they're just good to great week to week, they have a chance on defense to make key stops every single week and force turnovers. So I do think it's possible.
Okay, that they're a top 20 defense. Do you think that they can make the playoffs?
I do think they can make the playoffs.
Okay,
yeah.
Over us?
That's a tough one. It comes back to quarterback matches for me. I'm taking Carr over Teddy.
Duh.
If it has to go down to it. The Chargers is where I struggle with because I wouldn't put them over the Chargers.
I wouldn't either.
But it's going to come down to the wire, though.
But I will say we didn't have Chubb, and our pass rush was still effective. Von Miller looked like Von Miller still.